What's up, everybody? It's Chris from Pro Photo, and welcome to Geared Up. This is our weekly live broadcast where we talk about lighting, photography, gear, whatever you want to talk about. We'll take your questions. We talk about cool things, and we just generally have fun. If you're watching this on prophoto.com, you're going to see like pictures of products pop up as I talk about them. If you want more information on those things, like today we're going to be talking about a lot of strip boxes. You can click on those things. It'll minimize us. You'll see us down in the corner, and you can read up on it if you want to. If you're watching this on not prophoto.com, if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, you won't have that experience. If you want it, go to prophoto.com. If you don't care, hang with us. We're still chilling. Today, we are going to be talking about how to do Martin Schoeller style lighting. He's one of the greatest contemporary photographers of our time. If you don't know his name, you've definitely seen his photos, so you should also know his name because he's a brilliant contemporary photographer. And today we're going to be paying a little bit of homage and trying to do a Schoeller style light setup with our flashes. So it should be a lot of fun. It's a real easy light live. If you have any questions, by all means ask, and I'll be explaining why we're doing everything the way that we're doing now. So let's jump into the lighting setup and talk about it. So we're going to be using a lot of, oh, hi, it's Kate. Hello. We're going to be using a lot of strip boxes today because in kind of his iconic light setup, I'm not going to really show any photos because a lot of that stuff is celebrity stuff, and I don't have copyright on any of that stuff. So, but a lot of in his like super iconic lighting style, you always get these two like straight lines in the eyes, right? And those very clearly are some sort of a strip light. I know that he does some flash stuff, but he also uses some continuous lights. We're going to be using flashes with that. So we have two strip boxes, 1x4, set up right here to give that light setup there. On the side, when you look at a lot of the photos, there's clearly some dark shadowing coming down the sides. That's because there's a flag of some sort or or some sort of a black card. So we're using flags for this. So we have Kate will be standing in between two flags, and that will use the idea of negative fill. It will subtract light away, and it'll add like a nice little shadow to the rim of Kate, right? And then in the background, I'm using a strip box to light the background to make kind of that white to gray gradient that you see in the background of the shots. You can do this with a single light because these are such tight shots. You could do this with a single light, but I'm going to use a strip box hitting the background because that way at least the light is even more even across the background. So there's a 1x3 strip box across the back. All of this stuff is inside of a B10, B10 or B10X, B10, B10 Plus down there. But it's a really easy setup, and just people are probably going to ask like what's the situation going down here with the light stand. It's just a really low light stand with a grip arm that gets the light a little bit lower. So one, I can control that gradient where it falls in the background, and two, so it doesn't creep into the shot. But that's just a grip arm stand with a bunch of sandbags. I'm sure you can't see the sandbags.
Can't see the sandbags. Yeah.
But there's a bunch of sandbags.
Well, actually, if you moved it a little bit that way. Oh, there they are.
There. You see the sandbags holding the light stand down. And just a grip arm holding that up. These are just on regular stands. Again, the flags are being held up by grip heads on C stands, so really easy stuff. But it's a very simple lighting setup. Again, we're going to have Kate in between the flags, and that's going to help take some of that light off of the edges. So we should get like a nice little shed on the sides. Just as a forewarn on the two forewarns, we're going to actually have to turn the lights down because if you look at some of his shots, one, he's shooting with a medium format camera. So he's got this really shallow depth of field, which is really gorgeous. I'm shooting with an APS-C camera. My depth of field isn't quite as shallow as his. So I'm going to be shooting f2 today. That is going to allow me to kind of get that fall off that he has, but I'm gonna have to turn the lights off for that. So because these will definitely start creeping into the shot. So yes, that's one of the things. The second thing that I was gonna forewarn about, I totally forgot. So I'm sure it'll pop up as we're moving along. But I've tried this gridded and not gridded. I like the look Not graded. Oh, I just remember what the second forewarning was. The shots that you're going to see on the screen are going to be way contrastier than they actually are. The style is a little overexposed, so it's going to look very contrasty to you. I've tried to pull it back on my computer as best I could, but it's going to look super contrasty. Trust me, it's not. But you do want to, if you're trying to do like an inspired look off of this, you want to overexpose it just a little bit. Don't go so much that you'll lose all your information in your whites, but you do want to overexpose just a skosh. That being said, the strip light is just to make a little bit of a gradient that breaks right around the shoulder, and you'll see that when we photograph here in just a moment. But all in all, it should be very, very cool. So, ready to take a photo, Kate?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, I'm going to be shooting with my handy dandy Fuji X-T3, so the camera that I always shoot with. My lens is a 56 1.2, and I'm shooting, and that for all you full framers out there, the equivalent to that is an 85 millimeter. So, and then I know that his style is a little more up close and a little wider, so it has a little bit of that distortion to it, at least from what I can tell in the shots. I'm not going to shoot with a wide lens. I'm going to shoot with something a little bit tighter, so it should be kind of cool. I'm also going to try to stay out of the way so you can see what's going on. So
right here?
Maybe like a tiny step backwards. Right, yeah, like right there. Cool. I'm going to get framed up, and then I'm going to try to stay out of the shot so you guys can see what's going on. So let's do that. Let's kick on the continuous lights.
Are you going to kick down the...
Yeah, I'm going to turn off the overheads and stuff. Cool. So the continuous light should still be able to see Kate. But really cool stuff. Oh, the overheads. Forgot about those. So many lights. I should probably put all the controls in one place so I can just turn them all off at one time. There we go. Perfect. So, the strip boxes are in pretty tight. The reason for that is I want the catch light in the eye to be pretty large. There's fall off on the edges of a strip box. So if I get them in a little bit tighter, hopefully I don't lose so much of the fall off, and that strip is a little more prominent in the catch light. But
I would say the lights are about a foot away from me.
Yeah, so yeah, the strip lights are probably a foot away from Kate, what she says, and then she's got the flags probably
half of.
Probably 6 inches off of each side.
Yeah.
So really, really cool stuff. So here we go. Let's take a shot. 3, 2, 1. So there we go. So you can kind of see that photo there. I'm trying to see if it in the screen, if it looks kind of like what it's supposed to look like. It looks like it's maybe a touch under, but again, that's me messing with the settings to try to get it to not appear so that's the shot with no messing with the exposure. So that's a properly exposed shot, and it's just maybe it probably needs to be a little more over than that. Let's see.
But what they see is
but what you see is more contrast here. Jump back in here. Cool, I'm gonna bump my power up just a little bit to 2.0. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Honestly, it probably needs to be a little more over than that. Let's go up another third of a stop and take a tiny little step back.
Sure.
There we go. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. That's starting to feel like the right, so that's starting to feel, again, it's going to be very, very contrasty and look like we've totally blown it out on y'all's end, but it's
post it up after.
Yeah, we'll post it up afterwards so you can see that it's not, but yeah. Awesome, Kate, thanks. We're gonna go in here and look at the actual photo and see if there's any questions, and we can chat it up, and see what's going on. Let me just kick on some lights so it's not super dark. Cool, we're back. Hey everybody. Cool. Oh, I'm not 100% sure that my Do you have anything?
Let's see. What are the power levels on the strobes?
Yeah, they're pretty low. So because I'm shooting, so someone was asking what are the power levels of the lights that we're using. Because I'm shooting at f2.0, I don't need that much juice. So we're 2.4 on the two front lights, and the backlight I believe is it's 1.5. So they're all the exact same power. That's a B10 plus on the background. So 1.5 and 2.5 on a B10, the non-plus, is the same power level. So, right? Yes, I am right. I was starting to wonder if I had messed that up. Hey, Merrick. He says, love the videos. I love you, man. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us.
It says, I joined late. Can you show the flag position?
Yeah. So we can go to the wide shot. You want to show them?
They're just kind of hidden by the strip boxes.
Yeah. Go to the side shot.
Side?
Yeah, really fast. So they're just right here. So the lights are kind of jammed right up onto them. As a matter of fact, the diffusion panel right here on the edge of this is touching it. So they're pretty close. And then I mean, it's really hard to get in here with a camera to show, but I mean they're pretty tight. Kate had about 6 inches of elbow room on each side to kind of get in there. So, but let's kind of break down the photo and talk about some of the things that you need to be looking for. Again, you're seeing a super contrasty version of what is actually a pretty good exposure and a pretty good representation of like trying to recreate that look. So right here down the middle of the face, it's a little overexposed. Honestly, I probably could have done it just a little bit more. Everything, I still have all that information there. But what I see, I'm trying to see if I can pull this back. So for you, that looks a little bit closer to what I see when I'm not messing with my exposure levels. So that's pretty close. Again, the two strip lights in the eye, you can see there. It'd be nice if they were a little more prominent. The downside to using it with strip box flashes is that they're not even edge to edge. Even if I had a Pro 11 in there with the dome, it's still not even edge to edge. There's definitely more light in the middle as it spreads out. Whereas, you know, his style, you can see those, you know, hard lines right there. You could always go into Photoshop and dodge those a little bit brighter if you wanted that look and that setup with it. And honestly, I cut my strip boxes off a little bit by hitting the edges of the flags, so there is a little bit of the flag kind of chopping some of that strip box out. But again, you can see here on the shoulders, you can see on the side of the hair here that there's a nice shadow. That's the negative fill from the two flags, just taking that extra light that's going to be coming, because you have to remember there's light in the front and there's light in the back. So that negative fill is kind of reducing any light here on the edges and giving us some nice shadow. And then we have this nice little gradient on the background that breaks right around the shoulder, and you can play with that if you want to. When we were shooting around with it just yesterday. Hold on just one second. I had the background breaking a little bit higher, but I've since spoke with a friend of mine who's in the know, who's worked with them before, and said the light was breaking a little high. You want to try to keep that white breaking right at the shoulder. So really, really cool stuff. But it's a really super simple setup. It's 3 strip, and honestly, you don't have to do the strip light for the background. I just did that because I wanted the light on this side to be pretty much the same as this side. It's such a tight shot that you could use a single light and blast it to the background and just kind of up. So you're feathering that light up and it's gradiating out. You could use one light with a zoom reflector or just a bare head if you wanted to. I just wanted to use the strip box to try to keep the light pretty even and moving up in the same direction. So that's why that's set up that way. You don't have to have the 3rd strip box, but for the look, for the most part, you definitely would need 2 in the front. So any other questions or anything, Kate?
Yeah. Let's see. Do you have any on YouTube?
Oh, so while she's looking at that, Tim's the Nation. You were asking, do I specifically use the modeling lights to reduce the size of the pupils? Yes, that's one of the reasons I use the modeling lights. A lot of the times whenever we're shooting in here, we have so many of the big video lights on that I don't have to kick the modeling lights on because there's so much light in here that it usually closes down that pupil anyway. But they were kind of doing double duty for us. So one, pupil closing down, two, the screen wasn't going completely black. We were able to, because the B10's lights are made to be useful for video, they're flicker free, we were able to use those continuous lights to keep some light in the scene too. So they kind of did double duty there. It
looks like Anders answered most of these, so that's awesome.
Oh, cool. So if you're in the Pro Photo chat, Anders answered it. Anything on Facebook? Are we good?
No, I think we're good.
Cool. So again, a really, really easy lighting setup. You want to try to keep the lights relatively tight to your subject. Shoot with a lens that has a little bit wider aperture. I was using a 1.2 lens at f2. The rest of my settings were pretty simple. 250th of a second, ISO 160. The power levels, because we were shooting so wide open, stayed relatively low. So on our B10s, we were at 2.4. That gave us that slightly overexposed look that you want to try to achieve when you're trying to replicate that lighting style. And then again, we use a strip box on the background. That's just, again, to give that even gradient across, and then as it feathers up, the light's pretty similar all the way through the setup. B10s all around the house, B10 plus on the background, so really, really easy setup. Just to address this too, I used an RFI strip box on one side and an OCF strip box on the other side. They're both 1x4s. It shouldn't really matter. I just only had one of each of those, so that's what we rolled with. So RFI, and yes, you can use an RFI 1x4 and a B10. It's totally fine. But if you want to do this with like a D1 or a D2 or a Pro head, make sure you're using the RFI boxes. They can handle the high heat of the modeling lamp, especially if you kick the modeling lamp on. If you're just a B10 user and you want to go the OCF route, OCF it up. They're great soft boxes.
I wanted to ask if it was possible to do the same thing with a spade light. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what a spade light is. I'm sorry, I don't know what a spade light is.
Talk about the focus fall off point again.
Yeah, so
you might want to read that question.
Yeah, so someone said, can you talk about the focus fall off point? So just because I'm shooting with a shallower depth of field, the hair should start, the hair in the actual...
Hold on, let me just switch. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Yeah, sorry. So like we're sharp here, right? And then as it starts to fall off, we should start going out of focus pretty fast here on the hair, and that's just kind of, if you go and look at some of his photos and kind of dive into what makes them unique, that's one of the things he does. He shoots pretty shallow. So again, you just want to choose a lens that can offer you that option. I probably also could have thrown on my macro lens for this too. It probably would have looked pretty dynamite. But yeah, so it's just a real fast fall off, just because we're trying to mimic his artistry. So anything else? Are we good?
Would you suggest using a strip mask for finer lines in the eyes?
If you're trying to kind of replicate his look, his lines aren't that fine. So I had grids on here earlier when we were doing a lot of the original testing, and they didn't look as good. I mean, I guess in its basic form, I like the look without the grids. So a strip mask is going to take that light and make it even thinner. It'll make it a harder light, which his light really isn't. So I would probably say don't go the strip mask route. Again, these are just inspired by his look. So if you throw on the strip mask and you really like that look, and that's how you're taking the inspiration and maybe elevating it towards your style, then by all means use a strip mask. It's definitely going to take the light that's inside the eye, the catch light, and it's definitely going to narrow it up. So just be aware of that, and it's going to be a little bit harder of a light source horizontally. Vertically, it should be the exact same softness. So you could absolutely use a strip mask. It's not necessarily the same light. Hopefully that answered that. Anything else?
I think we're good.
Cool. So really fun live. I think it's neat to break down this stuff. We'll probably do a lot more of these types of things too in the future. If there's anything that you'd like me to try to decipher and break down and you'd like to see on a live, let us know. Drop us a message. I'm gonna make sure really fast on YouTube I haven't missed anything. Kate's check-in, Facebook, I'm good. We're good on the tube.
Adrian says that your beard is coming in nicely.
It does look nice. Thank you, Adrian. I appreciate that. This is as far as it's going. I can't do the long beard thing. This is already too itchy.
It gets hot here in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's so hot in Atlanta. But this was super fun. Again, if you want to see us break down any other types of things, you want to see like our take on how you would achieve a certain look, by all means, drop us a message. Let us know what you want to see. If you want to jump into like a one-on-one session with like Anders or Gibbo or myself, if you need to talk about anything, you can click the link in the description for the one-on-ones. In the meantime, I hope you have an awesome rest of your week. We will see you next week on Geared Up. Peace out. Later.